Just want a little I smoke, yeah. Nigga, I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with a gat. They won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that, huh? Undercovers come up to me, ask me for crack. Not protect and to serve, that's provoking the act. They won't book me for that, they won't bag me for that. But the man in ties, they just look at me back. I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. Is it the rich that is mean, or the ways that you stack? Or the pigmentation of his skin, he's black. Like they won't book me for that, they won't bag me for that. Ain't even speeding, I'm doing my limit. Can't be taxed, it's illegal. System structured, so you can't be rich. Got us breathing mustard. My brain's blue from the smoke. Ponics, human product. Illumines force light, they call simulate. The devil used man to try to make life, cause God wouldn't tell him, condemn him, fell him. God gave us the seed to reproduce till Mother Earth is full. So in the mean, I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with the cats. They won't book me for that. Where the good people at? Motherfuckers come up to me, ask me for crack. Protect them to serve, that's provoking the act. They won't book me for that, they won't bag me for that. But a man in ties, they just look at me back, cause they think I'm black. Nah, man, girl, something like that.
Marijuana, yo, it calm me. I don't know why they always on me. On it in a king family. If you stop us, we put it out calmly. Officer, where's your authority to impede a national on her land or his seas? Oh, I love the sense of me. Burn it, I tell, no grabber in my weed. We take out the stems and seeds. Rolling while I'm rolling, that's a regular tendency. Enough man beat the NSC. For me some bubble roots or some ganja tea. I take 2 shots for my enemies. Envious bad mind with the jealousy. But on the nothing we are the remedy. Chef in Zanga bits, we mastered the recipe. Watch this roll, yeah, it's a masterpiece. I don't care who sees, I burn my herb in the streets. The cushion pang is always on me. Few times the pussy them try swam me. Intelligent tone, I tell them calmly, I'm MIA, Moorish Imperial Army. Mind what you say, you might rub me wrongly. Matter in me eye, I bury beef. Me no even brush me teeth. Me want me some beef, me no get a spliffy bun, me get cranky.
Marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with a gat. They won't book me for that, won't bag me for that, huh? Undercovers come up to me, ask me for cracks. Not protect and to serve, that's provoking the act. They won't book me for that, they won't bag me for that. But the man in ties, they just look at me back. I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. Is it the rich that is mean, or the ways that you stack? Or the pigmentation of his skin, he's black. Like they won't book me for that, won't bag me for that.
Whew. Fuck me, that was intense.
So I just want to get you in. What? I'm a rocket. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children. Reppin' Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion. Might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking. See the turning heads, whispering, gawking, but he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify eyes. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport. As we know by being told, man knows not. Many before the four souls got bought, placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals, brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past righteous blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, trips and forearms.
Wind, brass and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding to these serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to seeds, speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. Can always look to these holes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been more ever since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody. Deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Dish deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting no conscious, thinking and living.
Unwilling.
They wanna break me, shape, grade me. Rolling with my main G, double O-M-B. S-O-N is crazy for a minute that you think you could take me for a fool like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You've mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools. I've been saying you've mistaken me. You better move or I mark it. Power pin is my tongue, your existence to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters peddling porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is a DJ skilling some dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We one need to below. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis fitted the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops will kill your boy, yeah, and a joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just for bill condition. It's like the slavery never end in prison, in the mission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me, let me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me, and one plan.
This is wartime. They are the law here. The Shaolin Temple is in their territory. We have to be very careful.
Their territory? This is our land. They took it over by force.
Are you black, are you bleak, are you bleached? Are you sure of the things that you keep? Like the depths and the heights of the knowledge that you reach. Are you secured in your rights or you breach? And the joy in the rights that you seek, not entitled to the inheritance left for the meek or the Moors. You want more? The blood that was dripped or the sweat through the pores. Identity was stripped already on the shores. Where the slave ships, I'm a Washington Moore. Came on the spaceships, but you don't want what's yours. No Tory Davis is a metaphor. Metaphor, simile. A simulation to do it simply. You a corporate artificial entity. Civilized, I'm more tools, not a human being. Ask yourself this question, who man be? And if black means pale, then white means me. And if from the darkness where we see, and I shine bright, who's Illuminati? Illuminati, they play hide and seek. I bear that light they claim they keep.
This is our land. They took it over by force.
Instead of birthright to nationality, rings and bright lights is our reality. Caught up in a paper thin system, ignorant of the fact that it's just a fallacy. Fabricated via fraud fictions, sugar, salt, starch, crack addictions. Miles from the throne, we already home. Mine is the rock without a pot to piss in. We owe it all to the inner villain. It takes courage and disciplining to right the old wrongs. We used to singing old songs and wake back up from the sleep we've been in. Sip a little more juice, a little more rum and a little more juice, a little more sky and a little more goose, and another little black fairy tale hyped very well with a little more dead and a little less truth.
This is our land. They took it over by force.
Attorney Brian Cameron didn't do like Lincoln before. Beat the charge saying Troy Davis is a Moor. Not a Negro, a black execution hero in propria persona. No, I won't pick it on march. Stop playing, my weapon is pressing a charge. If I self-law and master, slaves always frontin'. Wanna fight after they score from button. Troy could have lived, he didn't have to be the 2011 era by plaintiff. Legal injection, get the vein stiff. NEC's always skewed their racist. Think about it, he's dressed by 2011 to prove we haven't learned since 1857. Some won't like what I'm telling, no beg fretting. Watch the car brief, no pelican. Slave names, no bay remembering. So take sentencing and be impending. Let's see who will learn from this lesson. Blessing, dunk you in Truth Baptist Water Confessions. Troy proves nationality to order, no dressing, no condiments. How many more Moors must face Troy Davis type consequence?
This is our land. They took it over by force.
Once again, another body fall victim. Accusations made Troy Davis a victim. Coupled with the grudge and the rage of the system designed for the acts of deception. You miss wage war on the laws, the identity, laws, frauds, controlling all cause. They losing DNA parts of the whole incomplete. So game to compete is way more prevalent. They know they got to feel the defeat. Many wanna know why the better of the Melanites suffer from the so-called elite. And to know that your land and your birthright major. Inheritance, yes, Lord be your savior. Rise in peace, Troy Davis, we're calling on your name. Live on their minds, we created. Reality, we make it as real as it gets. Try to give us all the dollars, we return the changes.
From pre-Inca civilization in Peru, get this movie called Celestine Prophecies. It's a movie. Celestine Prophecies it's a book actually written by James Redfield. But in the movie, there are two crackers riding down the road. These two Albions are riding down the road. One turns to the other one and says, well, how did they get the land in which they have acquired? Referring to the Catholic Church. Guess what this cracker said and looked at him and said? He looked at him and said, the Moors gave it to them through a land grant. This is in the movie.
Of Gilead Medical Group. I have no relationship whatsoever to the pharmaceutical company. I work as an internal medicine and critical care physician in the DC metro area, and so I practice both outpatient and hospital-based medicine. I actually came here this morning to call out the racism that is inherent in the U.S. dietary guidelines, but then as I got a look at this committee, I suddenly understood why it's such an intractable problem. This committee bears no relationship to the general makeup of the American populace, and whoever put it together is clearly still practicing the optics of tokenism. Now, that is not a attack on any of you as individuals, because I'm sure you're all very accomplished and very sincere, but it is outrageous to have a committee that does not reflect the American population. And as non-minority members of this committee, I should think you would be embarrassed looking around this table. But anyway, I want to talk about the health profiles of communities of color, which, as we know, are generally much worse than the general population. And why is that? It has to do with the guidelines coming out of this committee. I was co-author on a paper published in 1999 called Racial Bias in U.S. Dietary Guidelines, 2 parts. I would encourage you to look it up and read it. But I have actually seen illness caused by your guidelines. As people have already mentioned, the vast majority of people of color in this country are intolerant of the lactose that's in milk. Yet, because they think they have to eat this stuff, they go out, eat it, get sick, and think that they have some sort of intestinal problem. But in fact, when I encourage them to stop eating dairy, their problems cleared up. And so it's really outrageous to encourage people to eat foods we know will make them sick, particularly when the #1 reason advanced for dairy foods is its calcium content, but African American women are genetically protected against getting osteoporosis, so we're making them sick for no good reason. People have problems. It's not carbs, it's the processed carbs. And lastly, there is no scientific or nutritional reason for people to be consuming dairy products. We have no more reason to suck on the teats of a cow than we have to suck on the breasts of a postpartum weasel. And we've already talked about the hormone content that creates excess disease, such as prostate cancer, breast cancer. I tell people, as far as the nutrients contained in dairy foods, eating dairy products for the nutrients is equivalent to inhaling cigarette smoke for its oxygen content. It's not a good idea. So I want to encourage you, get the racism out, get the dairy out. Please do your job. Thank you.
I just thought of this great idea. How about everyone that's concerned with illegal immigrants put up or shut up? You have millionaires, people with $1 million homes, like Maxine Waters, Bernie Sanders, John Legend, and Chrissy Teigen. These people are millionaires. They cared for the 20,000 or so illegal immigrants in camps.
Hold on. What are you talking about? This is how you know you two people don't study. So let's help people before he goes into his little stuff and people start going crazy. King Alfred plan. Mind control in America. If a group of men gain control of the major news media, the educational system, they would have a great control of the words we use. Would they not? When you control people's words, you control their thoughts. When you control their thoughts, you control their minds. When you control their minds, you control their bodies. If such a group gain control of our minds, should we expect them to take full-page ads across the country and inform 200 million heavily armed citizens of their accomplishment? Would they more likely keep us singing "Land of the Free and Home of the Brave" while they simply purchase the legislation they need to gain absolute total control over us? President Garfield, quote, "Whoever controls the volume of money in any country is absolute master of all commerce and industry. The only way productive people can control the volume of money and be self-governing is when something workers produce is used as a medium of exchange. The actual process of money creation takes place in commercial banks." Page 3, Modern Money Mechanics, published by the Federal Reserve Bank, Chicago. You thought the government printed it? For the secret owners of the Federal Reserve to control the volume of money and become our absolute masters and we their absolute slaves, they had to first get the gold away from our parents and grandparents in 1933, which was accomplished with threats of fines and imprisonment from the man who said, "The thing we have to fear most is fear itself," Franklin D. Roosevelt. Next, they had to get our silver away from us, which was accomplished under a great smokescreen called Vietnam. It is just coincidental as to how the chronology of Vietnam War seems to dovetail with the chronology of our silver being confiscated. There is no way that they could control the volume of money if the money was silver coins in the hands of 200 million Americans. They had to get us dependent on a medium of exchange that they would create in infinite volume with infinitesimal effort, credit, and you worry about Russia. The newspapers tell us Russia borrows from Western banks, and the Bible says the borrower is the servant to the lender. You think the Bible is wrong? The public thinks that taxes are used to provide a defense against Russia, and it's the other way around. Our masters dangle the Russian boogeyman in front of us to justify the tax illusion. Truth is always stranger than fiction. The Russian people are taught to fear us. History shows that money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain control over governments by controlling the money and its issuance. The high office of the president has been used to format a plot against the American people. Before I leave office, I must inform every citizen of this plight. President John F. Kennedy in a speech at Columbia University 10 days before his death. The world is governed by far different personages than what is imagined by those not behind the scenes. Dig your own grave, open a bank account. King Alfred plan. On top of that, paper is not money. So instead of playing this game, why not just go back to the foundation and really tell the people the best solution or idea for illegal immigration? First of all, stop classifying the Aboriginal indigenous people as Negro, black, colored. How about we start there? Before you start telling people give up whatever paper people think is worth something or whatever, how about you stop classifying the Negroes, blacks, and coloreds and call them what they really are? Stop playing a game that these people are something that they're not. These dark-skinned people. Because remember, if you go get the book Ellis Island Nation, Ellis Island Nation, that book tells you that when Europeans got to Ellis Island, all of a sudden America became a broad term to include immigrants. So that means that it was obviously meant something before these people started coming over here and started claiming to be what they're not. Because if they're talking about Ellis Island is their nation, then they're not from here. So the real solution is Europeans who are calling themselves American, stop calling yourself American. How about you start calling yourself who you are? British, French, German, Dutch, going down the line. Because then once you start classifying the people as who they are, then you would recognize who the real immigrants are and who the real Aboriginal indigenous people are. And you wouldn't listen to these YouTube scholar people who just started reading some stuff yesterday. And now they're conscious. They put you on to some game, but they're not teaching you about your nationality and your birthrights. They're not teaching you about your nationality and your birthrights, but they're going to tell you about everything else under the sun. And then you are going to run with it like you don't know any better, like you don't study. YouTube scholar stuff. Don't go with it. Don't let them fool you. Playing this game of give the Europeans a pass. Don't worry about bringing that up. How about everybody just bring their money together and we're gonna help the immigrants? No. How about we stop calling these people immigrants? How about we move the borders? See who's an immigrant. Then. How about that? How about move the borders? How about call this Morocco again? Let's see who's the immigrant. How about bring that line that makes Mexico go up the west coast? And then all there being Mexico too? How about that? If you want to solve the immigration problem. YouTube scholar guy. telling these people about money. They don't even know what money is. How about tell them what money is first before you start telling them about go demand some people to give up some money. Because there ain't no money if it's paper or credit or debit or Dexit or whatever. That's not money. Money is gold and silver. Coins.
On the border, why don't they just put their money up? The thing is, they don't really care about this stuff personally. They're using illegal immigrants as leverage to win elections.
What do you mean illegal immigrants? What is that? How are Aboriginal indigenous people illegal immigrants? How? How? How is it that Aboriginal indigenous people are illegal immigrants? This must be a sellout. If he's going to call his brothers and sisters illegal immigrants and tell Europeans, yeah, you can stay in America, just cough up some finance and everything's going to be all right. These people are tripping. Tripping. And guess who's falling on their face? Guess who's falling on their face when they trip? Now, these people with this money illusion, Negroes who don't want to be themselves because they think they came from somewhere else, and then they have people who came from somewhere else claiming to be them, and you don't get what's going on yet, and then people still playing with you, and then you're not putting these people on a pole, putting these people on a wall when they tell you to BS, have you selling yourself out? Remember, you're suffering when you sell you out. Nobody else suffering when you sell yourself out. There ain't no white man to blame or none of that stuff. When you sell yourself out. As soon as you sell yourself out, then they don't have to deal with it. Because you sold yourself out. So they're not getting no karma for that. They're protected. They're protected. I'm telling you, get the hell off YouTube and go read a book. Go to the library. Go study. These people are playing you. You don't get it? How come you're not talking about Ellis Island if you're talking about immigration problem? You tell me about some border and some illegal immigrants. Why not say what it is? But nah, you don't want to go there. If you go there, people become unpopular and they get no more views. And if they don't get views, then they can't exist. Because they only exist on camera.
It's the most selfish thing ever. And people are actually falling for this.
Yeah, people actually falling for this guy. He's a scholar of some guy. No, he's not. What scholar of what? What scholar? You're playing you. If they're not talking nationality and birthrights, they're playing you. Just like, let me show you how they're playing you. Just like, because I know these guys like to do their little snitch stuff and all that stuff. So we'll talk about this. So these people are playing games with you. Remember, they're playing games with you. So Common has his new song or whatever. Or some black whatever. You thought a bigger picture. Then he has song in there talking about him and El Haj and Noble Drew Ali and all this, but you're talking about there's the black something or the other. What do you mean black stuff? What are you talking about? And he has. How? How you mentioning Noble Drew Ali in a song with you? If you know about Noble Drew Ali, then you know you're not Negro black colored. So if you know you're not Negro black colored, how come you still playing this black stuff? What's the purpose of playing this black thing? To a bigger picture called Free. In the picture, it was me, El Haj, Malik Shabazz, Muhammad, and Noble Drew Ali. You know all that? Are you telling me about some black America? Still talking about some black America. But you know about Noble Drew Ali though. So that's some sellout stuff right there. I'm telling you. Watch these people. So they're not telling you about your nationality and birthrights. They're playing you. Trust me, they're playing you. I know they're playing you because I study. I know that we're not Negro black colored. And anybody who's talking about we're black and they start talking black this and black that and black whatever, we know that they're working with the other side. We know that they're working with King Alfred plan. The executive order that was authorized to counteract the minority, which are blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites. So why you have problems? King Alfred plan. Because you're claiming to be black. You claim you're not black, and these people have no problem. They have no problem with you. But our people don't want to hear what the Moors are saying because we don't know what we're talking about. They know what they're talking about. But this stuff is happening tonight. But they know what they're talking about though. But this is what they're dealing with.
You give to us supports our daily digital show. Only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real is Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. But yesterday, here in Roland Martin Unfiltered, I did a deconstruction of some recent comments by Marcellus Wiley on Fox Sports with regards to Colin Kaepernick and Jay-Z and Colin's girlfriend Nessa, and Eric Reed and Kenny Stills, all surrounding protests in the NFL and all sorts of stuff along those lines. And so the reason so people said, dang, man, you went in hard, because I was greatly bothered by what Marcellus had to say when he was talking about the identity of the individuals who were involved. And in essence, there was this whole notion that, well, Jay-Z is really blacker than Colin Kaepernick, because Colin Kaepernick is biracial and raised by white parents and was in Wisconsin, moved to Central California, as opposed to Jay-Z growing up in the projects there in New York. So for some of y'all who missed it, here are some of the comments of Marcellus Wiley, and then I'm going to come back with my comment.
This is an identity issue. You know why the identity of this movement has been lost? You know why the identity has been lost in this platform of kneeling, and what does it really mean? Because the identity of those who are leading it has always been in question. Let's keep it 1,000 up here, because my past is hot. My past has expired for this. The past has expired. I've been going back and forth with this from day one at ESPN. Let's go. Kaepernick comes from a situation where he's never felt the full weight of these injustices. This is a mixed race guy who was raised by a white family from Wisconsin to Central California. Respect. That does not disqualify you from talking for us. But when you make missteps and miscalculations, it comes back into play. And he never spoke on this when Black Lives Matters movement was at its height. Think about it, 2013, 2014, Ferguson, where Jay-Z is bailing prisoners out and doing protesters out and taking pictures and supporting Trayvon Martin and that family. What was Kaepernick? You know who he was? Taking his shirt off, bro. I knew Kaepernick back then. He was never talking about this. He meets Nessa 2015, all of a sudden 2016 he gets benched. Flip-flop. Not mad, that still doesn't disqualify you. But Nessa comes into play now. And we all know Nessa. Respect to her and her ethnicity, but it's not black. Okay? So now we got two leaders who don't even feel the weight of the consequences. So guess what you are allowed to do right now? Have convenience. Ain't no cosmetics here, bro. When I'm in Compton, when I'm in South Central and Harlem, that's my childhood to manhood, 0 to 22 years old. Those three places, I know what it feels like. When you're talking to Jay-Z, who's been through Marcy Projects, Brooklyn, and all his successes, he's seen this. We both said, go Kaepernick, go. And let the cause blindly support the man. But the character is now coming to question. And then now Eric Reed is taking it and giving them cover. Eric Reed is taking Kenny Stills, another guy. Respect, guys. Another mixed race individual who's not felt the full weight of this. So when you want to take this movement, and I hate to play the race card against my own race. Usually you play the race card against other races, right? But when I have to see these missteps and these issues all manifest, I get back to the identity of those who are leading it, which has always been in question. And now Jay-Z has answered that question. Let somebody who really knows what.
Just remember, they're talking Royal African Company establishment excursion when they talk about race. Just a reminder. Just a reminder that when they talk about race, they're talking about Royal African Company. I'm talking about people's ethnicity and all that. They're talking slave trade. Remember, race is the slave ship. Race is really the slave ship.
What this is about, handle it.
So here's what's interesting with that particular commentary. So allow me to have part 2 of Deconstruction. First and foremost, Marcellus responded to that commentary by saying that you got it wrong. I grew up in Compton. I didn't grow up in Harlem. Well, actually, if you actually heard that comment, he said from 0 to 22, his life was Compton, South Central, and Harlem. So that's why I included Harlem in that. And so, yes, Marcellus, you grew up in Compton, but you invoked Harlem, which is why I brought up the cases that took place in New York, which you were very quiet about when you played in the NFL.
Ads, you know how they do.
NFL. But see, if you listened closely to what Marcellus said there, he was saying that this whole notion that Jay-Z can speak to these issues more so than Colin Kaepernick can because of how Jay-Z grew up. Also in the commentary, he talked about Jay-Z growing up in a public housing complex there in New York City and what he experienced and what he went through. Let me explain to you what that is. That's actually the code for you're blacker. See,
No. Just like our friend didn't want to talk about Ellis Island and stuff like that. How come these people don't talk about etymology? What do you mean blacker if black means pale? And ain't nobody up here. I don't see any pale people up here. Actually, Kaepernick could probably have black, I guess. He comes from some black people. But all these Moors up here talking about black people and race, playing you. Y'all forgot, Jay-Z just got his back shots from the NBA or whatever. You know, see, now he's an NFL guy and you don't realize what's going on. These people are just about themselves getting their check. They don't care about you. I don't care how much shoes they buy for young little black boys and all that BS. They still call them black and bought them shoes. They didn't do nothing for them. Talking about. Find me something. They built or whatever. Oh yeah, they still call them black in that stuff that they built for them? They didn't do nothing for them people. What they do? Tell me something they did. Tell me something they did. Or they went and GoFundMe and they got 75 million and they opened a school in every single state. But the school is just for black students only? The hell out of here. Black is a shadow tag. Black is a brand if it's attached to people. If black is attached to people, it's a brand. It's a slave nigger tag. And anybody could do anything that they want to you if you have that. Oh, you don't think so? I don't think so.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. Only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Okay, this story was absolutely crazy. Royal Oak, Michigan police are apologizing to Devin Myers for stopping him for allegedly looking at a white woman. Y'all know what time it is.
I'm white. I got you, huh? Illegally selling water without permit on my property.
What? White people? What is that? What do you mean white people? All I seen you show is Europeans. Modern Europeans. I don't know what their stock is, but I know that those are some modern Europeans. How come I don't say modern Europeans? What is white people? And these are adults. You go ask the child, hey, what color is that lady over there? That's European. They'll give you a face because there's really no color really that they could say. And they'll probably say peach because that's what a crayon would have told them. You really think people are crayon colors? People are crayon colors because they don't look like white crayon. So they're not. So youth man's not even gonna think that they're white because according to a crayon, that lady doesn't look like a crayon. So I can't use white. Playing games with you.
I'm uncomfortable.
Hello, this is Kamiko, and I am in Royal Oak, Michigan. I was going to the CVS over here when this young man is stopped because a Caucasian lady said that he looked at her suspiciously and he has been pulled over.
Oh, so if she says the Caucasian lady, how come they're lying to you and telling you that some white lady did something? Why are they pushing that African company stuff? Why are you pushing that? Why you just call her Caucasian? Like the person's video that you jacked to get your views so you could have a show. Misquoting people. Because Caucasian and white people, those are not synonymous. That's a lie that they just did. A bold-faced lie. Lady said that she's Caucasian. They're going to tell you about crazy-ass white people. And then your dumbass is running for it because you love drama. You love the niggerness. And let me get on the brother. Because why are you even looking at a European? What are you looking at European for? You already know how they do. You don't know how they do. They called highwayman on a brother selling water. A brother barbecuing, they call highwayman. What the hell are you talking about? Why are you even looking at this European? Why? You don't know how you didn't learn from Emmett Till? Or you didn't learn from Emmett Till how they do when you look at their women? You didn't learn. Oh, nobody told you. It's typical. The black Negro scholar sellout guys. The sellout guys. It's the sellout guys. Didn't tell you. Let me tell you about Emmett Till, huh? What he got. They hunted him down. Hunted him down. Murdered him because he looked at a European. And remember, everybody else in that was there, they're like, what? Hey, what are you doing? When they realized what he did, where he did that, it wasn't like, you know, some nonchalant whatever. They had to put him in hiding because they already know what was going to go down. No questions asked. They already know how it goes. And you have these people getting views. Emmett Till rolling in his grave right now. You still looking at Europeans? Oh, your damn mind. Incompetence at its heights. The hell are you looking at a European for? Like, what would make you stop whatever you're doing to look at a European? You know how much energy they get just from look? Imagine how much energy all these Europeans are getting right now just because of this brother. And then this sister here, she's joining in. She's probably on her menstrual and all that stuff. And these people are just salivating right now. Just let them do what they do. And then our people are the ones that's always paying for it, for being a dumb ass. Always our people paying for it. Like she's wrong for calling highwaymen because blacks are savages. Ain't none of them people around or whatever. You think Europeans are savage? All they feel about black people, which is really them, the savages. But hey, that's not them no more because they passed that on to the Negroes. No, the Negroes got to deal with that. We'll take the white, no problem. We'll be the master and the sovereign of the land and all that stuff. You guys, you could be the shadow. Cool, no problem. No problem. And again, I just had a thought about our illegal immigrant friend. When he gets big, like whoever, and has his millions, let's see if he turns around and then helps the illegal immigrants with all that finance. Because, you know, they make them get big. It might be big already. Who knows? People might be touring. I heard Rizza Islam's on tour now. You could book him and you could touring. You guys are touring, telling you about black BS. Touring.
Walking to go to eat by two police officers for suspicion of being black and looking at the Caucasian woman.
But a white woman called 911 and said he's an African American male. I don't know what his deal is, but it's making me not feel very comfortable. He's looking at me.
Yeah, that's why we kneel. That's why we protest. That's why we fight, because he could have ended up dead from what she did. For me.
Emmett Till ended up dead already. You didn't learn? Don't look at the Europeans. You didn't learn. You uppity Negroes think you made it and you could be black in 2019 and nobody's not going to bother you because you're a self-proclaimed black whatever and you got a book and you got whatever. People don't respect that. They don't respect your credentials.
I respect your credentials. We'll go back again because you must think people are dumb out here. Not everybody's dumb like your viewers. Not everybody. Some of us, we study. And we know exactly what's going on. We know exactly what is going on. At the appropriate time, again, this is King Alfred plan. It's King Alfred plan. Dossiers have been compiled on the leaders of the organizations and can be studied in Washington. The material contained in many of the dossiers and our threat to reveal that material has considerably held in check the activities of some of the leaders. Leaders who do not have such usable materials in their dossiers have been approached to take government posts, mostly as ambassadors and primarily in African countries. The promise of these positions also has materially contributed to a temporary slowdown of minority activities. However, we do not expect these slowdowns to be of long duration, because there are always new and dissident elements joining these organizations with the potential power to replace the old leaders. All organizations and their leaders are under 24-hour surveillance. At the appropriate time to be designated by the president, the leaders of some of these organizations are to be detained, only when it's clear that they cannot prevent the emergency, working with local public officials during the first critical hours. All other leaders are to be detained at once. All other leaders. After the little puppets get taken care of, everybody else detained at once. Compiled lists of minority leaders have been readied at the National Data Computer Center. It is necessary to use the minority leaders designated by the president in much the same manner in which we use minority members who are agents with central and federal. And we cannot, until there is no alternative, reveal King Alfred in all its aspects. Minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. This move is not without precedent in American history. You think they don't know this? Telling you, well, you're black. And he could have got killed. What do you mean he could have? He's dead already because he's civiliter mortus. I know you know this, black lady. I know you know law people. And I know law people keep telling you guys about civil rights and all that stuff and march and picket and that's how you get something. That's not how it works when you're chattel property. When you're chattel property and you have the name of another, you become their serf. And anything that you have belongs to them. Because slaves can't own property. This is why even if they call a Chinese man John, his name's Chan. He's not John Smith. And then you look and it's a Asian. No, they keep that little stuff on there because they know the importance of knowing who the hell you are. They don't play dumb like the Negroes when they come over here. The Negroes been here. They still don't get it yet. And everybody's coming here with a nationality, and then Negroes are still talking about march and picket because we're black, and he could have got shot because she called the highwayman on him. No, he could have got shot because he looked at a European. Why is he looking at a European? How is it that it's preposterous. It's no different than the European thinking Miz is trying to pick up his girl in the Wawas. It's absurd. It's absurd that your attention is so Gone. That a European walking by has you tripping. That you even looked for a second. Why are you even giving a European a second? And on top of that, it's eye to eye too. You letting her see in the windows of the soul. Why wouldn't she be intimidated? You know, when they make eye to eye contact with black guys, they're looking at God face to face. You know that. You know that. Clearly, you don't know that.
Me, that is what this is all really about. The fact that in 2019 we are in the exact same.
And a white woman.
Yes.
Oh, so you didn't learn yet. You got the lynching memorial. And then all the stuff is showing them, well, he got because he looked alive. He got her because he touched her. He got her because he just oops and tripped and bumped her. He got lynched because... And you're still playing around like you don't know what is going on. There were population control. You know that? Oh, you think that's a conspiracy theory stuff and all that? They try to get rid of certain people of the population because they don't want them around? Oh, when you go look at the list of all the who got shot or whatever like that, is these Negroes on there? No different than when you look at the slave records of the whatever, all these Negroes on there. We wonder why, because they wanted to be Negroes. Nothing personal. It's just, if you're not part of the human family, then you're obviously part of the animal species. So people are gonna take your pineal glands and all that stuff, take your organs and all that, stuff you in a mattress and all that stuff because your status is dead and you're their property. Take your organs and fill you with newspaper. You think these people don't know what they're doing and why they're able to do what they do? But nah, they're up here playing this black stuff, keeping you in the dead status. Keeping you in a dead status. Why do they want to keep you in a dead status so much, black guy? Why don't they tell you who you really are? Why do they keep playing this black game with you? This has been happening 2019, and then they're talking about 50s, and it's the same exact situation. Only thing he didn't get taken behind something and get his ass beat. And we already know people are going to stay dumb. It's not even like we know. There's going to be a handful saved with fingers left over. So we don't expect 50,000 views on our stuff. There's 1-2 people who know what's up. There's 1-2 people who know what's up. Honors to you for coming to your senses and wanting to learn the truth about who you are, because all these people out here are playing you. Because guaranteed they have their little tacked down fez in the closet. Yo, I know these people have their tacked down stuff in the closet. We know they do. We know people who know people, and the people who they know are the lawyer of the whatever, the head whatever, the first black whatever, and yeah, they have the stuff in the closet at home. So we know they know. We know they know. We're going back and forth just so we don't get bored with these guys.
In the 70s, what happened was, if you were black and you were in school, They will say, you talk white or you talk too proper, where you come from. Then in the 80s and 90s, it was, oh, you one of them suburban Negroes. You didn't grow up in the hood. Now in the 2000s, we've now evolved, now the whole issue of being biracial. So now we are criticizing folks and we're establishing this sort of these levels of blackness. What has happened in this country, unfortunately for black folks who have fallen victim to white supremacy, who don't even understand what they are saying, is that we have defined blackness as actually meaning coming from broken homes, impoverished, public housing, rats and roaches, single mama, daddy not home, broke, destitute.
You talk about, because black guys that talk about they're the kings and the queens of ancient Egypt and the black Egyptians and stuff like that, and there was no roaches and stuff like that then. So we know you have the pin down at home. Stop playing. You know you have the pin down at home. No way. You just said what you said.
Let me explain to you what that is. That's actually the code for you're blacker. See, in the 70s, what happened was if you were black and you were in school, they would say, you talk white or you talk too proper, where you come from. Then in the 80s and 90s, it was, oh, you one of them suburban. Let me explain to you what that is. That's actually the code for you're blacker. See, in the 70s, what happened was if you were black and you were in school.
I thought you were black. What do you mean if you were black? So if you weren't black, what were you? Because the school that you're talking about, they know Europeans you're talking about. Obviously, you're talking about only our people right now. So what do you mean if they were black? So that means they had to be something. Because, don't tell me the BS about, the Mexicans because they're black too. If you want. So what do you mean if they were black? And then European pale, black means pale, so they're black too. Got unclassified people, who are you talking about? So they play these little games because they can't really give it up that, they sold you out. I mean, why would they do that? Why would they do that? You know what they're trying. You know what they're trying. Are you gonna fall for keeping yourself dumbed down? Or are you gonna realize that something's wrong with this idea of who's blacker than who? Just the concept. Who's blacker? Blackness and the black experience. What are they talking about? Because you can't say black and then say somebody can't say that that's what black is, or that. Well, it's not from roaches and that. Well, what do you mean? Yeah, because when they talk about the plague in Europe, they call it black. When they talk about the death that went around, they call it black. So what do you mean rats and roaches and stuff can't qualify as blackness? Why not? Well, let's hear how brilliant they get.
They would say, you talk white or you talk too proper, where you come from. Then in the 80s and 90s, it was, oh, you one of them suburban Negroes. You didn't grow up in the hood. Now in the 2000s, we've now evolved, now the whole issue of being biracial. So now we are criticizing folks and we're establishing this sort of these levels of blackness. What has happened in this country, unfortunately for black folks who have fallen victim to white supremacy, who don't even understand what they are saying, is that we have defined blackness as actually meaning coming from broken homes, impoverished, public housing, rats and roaches, single mama, daddy not home, broke, destitute, and we had to fight our way to school every day and the way back home, and we made it through. See, that's how we literally define this idea of what it means to be black.
But that's what it means to be black. Because when you look up the Black Plague, it was BS going on. When you look up Black Death, when you look up the Black Storms, these things aren't talking about good stuff going on. Oh, but Black history is some good stuff. And the Black experience is some good stuff. And blackness is some good stuff. But Black Plague, oh, he don't have nothing to do with that or whatever. Why not? It's black. I thought you were supposed to embrace blackness. Why would you not embrace the Black Plague? Well, it sounds pretty dumb, right? To embrace death and destruction. Okay. So how come the same stuff doesn't apply when you start calling yourself this BS? Now you're making up rules all of a sudden now, justifying why you can call yourself some black whatever. Right. Bobby Emmett's evil twin. The total opposite.
Was in the Cincinnati Music Festival, and that was a T-shirt, and it said, "I'm mixed with hood and some other stuff." And somebody said, "Hey, you want that shirt?" I'm like, "Hell no, because I ain't mixed with hood." Do you know why? Did I grow up in the Clinton Park neighborhood in Houston? Yes. The problem is when you say the word hood, you left off the neighbor part, and so the word hood has now meant one thing in the minds of the person who you're talking to. See, the reason I brought these books out today is because we need to understand that there is no one black experience. This book here is called African Americans on Martha's Vineyard.
Okay, so that's a whole different thing. African Americans not black. That's a whole different wardship status. Black and African American aren't synonymous. Because one, the guy can't be adjective. Two, this other guy can't be two continents. Continent's a continent. You're a human being. What's your nationality? There's a lot more. I don't know if you got to hear any. If you got to hear any.
Yeah, I got to tune in.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So if you want any interjections right now, do your thing.
Yeah, quick interjection too. I got 9 questions. Right. This is because it's a lot of black this, black that, and what they mean when they say black and all of that stuff. Yeah. We already know, once again, this is coming out of the Bill of Particulars by R.E. Bay Publications and Noble Nature L-Bay. I mean the Grand Sheet, Nature, right? On the back, the Bill of Particulars. It says, we pose these following questions as keys to inspire others to think. Because he got all those books up there, right? I'm glad you got the picture right where it's at. Because when I'm watching the video, I'm like, yo, he's just going through books like they're really studying. They're not studying. That's like reading comic books. That's not legitimate. That's not helping to restore our people back to thinking. Now it continues to say, it says, so they may better help to restore this fallen nation. It says, question 1, who and what is Black America? Like they keep saying it with, well, what you mean with all that crap that he was saying with black man? Okay, well, we can question that. Well, who and what is Black America? What is the nationality of a Black American? Are people identified by colors? Like, they're just up here just rambling. Like, the whole I was listening to the Marcellus Wiley talk. That's just rambling.
Yeah.
All those corporations that he was saying, New York, Compton, all of those are prisons and inquisitional camps. Those are not places. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
I was raised in. No, what are you talking about?
I was raised on the reserve.
right, exactly. Like, what are you saying? You're thinking, you're talking is all wrong. That's what's causing a debate. There is no debate if you have the proper language and proper comprehension of what's going on. Once you know who you are, you know what's going on. These people have no idea. But again, I heard you speak on it earlier though. That where's your tie down feds at? But then again, as soon as you said it, I googled them. It's not even hidden. He got it on his own channel with him giving a lecture to the Prince Hall Masons. He's there at the place. It's on his channel. He don't hide it. It's just the ignorant people who sell into this and watch this guy, whose everything is off of. He gets the kick off of the ignorant people and their emotions. That's why he gets to get the views and everything he's getting. That's just ignorant people with emotions. They're not up there to do anything to help better our situation. Their thing is just to keep complaining. Because if they say the one thing that gets us out of all of this complaining, which is nationality, then his platform is gone. What does he get to talk about? His whole thing is to talk about when everything he shows is our people going through some issues. Why is all they do is that? That's all they do is want to show us in some type of situation. Like when you study, you know what the mind is, and he knows what the mind is. Like when they pumping this vision into the people's heads all the time, that's not. Do you think that's healthy for us to keep thinking? Oh, this is what's going on. They call the highwaymen on us every time we even look at Europeans. Like, all of this is purposely done for the brain, because the brain is powerful. Whatever your imagination is, or what's coming into your vision, like that's what's gonna happen. Like they know that he's playing those games. Repetition is magic. The key to magic is repetition. His whole platform is continuous videos of so-called black people going through problems with Europeans. That's his whole thing, repetition of that. But the whole thing is colored. It's fake. It's not even real. Like the Grand Sheik said, that's why it made perfect sense. These people only exist on camera. And what we tell our children, first thing, ain't none of that real. That's on TV. Mm-hmm. That's not real. We tell our children that. But then we go up there, watch the same thing, and think it's real. Now it's real. Yeah, like, no, it's still TV. Roland Martin is TV fake. TV fake guy. Mason, Prince Hall Mason, doing lectures. He don't hide it. Their whole thing is to keep the people docile so they can make their kickbacks. We've been knowing this forever. There's no Black America, Black Americans, the African Americans. We know that. As Moors, we know that. And these people know that. They're on the platforms. They go to school and stuff. They got the doctorates and all of that stuff. How we got it. High school diploma stuff. Guy knows, that black stuff, that's not real. That's fake. And it's only when it comes down to that one word, black. Mm-hmm. Now it's what we mean. It means. But then when everybody else starts talking like that, you be like, oh, that's incorrect. That's not proper English to speak that way. Like you're trying to correct them for talking that way. But when you say black, what we mean black mean, all right, yep. The whole thing is it's a sellout. These people getting paid off of people being ignorant. And all this Marcellus Wiley, all of this Kaepernick stuff, Moore's been said that. That boy, his mama European. But that was it. That was it. There's no, he can't, because he wasn't, because he was raised in Brooklyn and all of that, whatever, which is color stuff, that's what makes him who he is. That has nothing to even do with bloodline. That was, even on that level, that was ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
On that level, it's like, that's ignorant. That has nothing to do with bloodline. Like, nothing. Because you was in Marcy Projects or whatever. That ain't got nothing to do with bloodline. Nothing. That's fraud. We got people know right now they living in some place that's not suitable, and they got a family member that's living it up. But y'all still family. That don't mean they not, you know what I mean, Moors now because they living it up. It's, that's still your cousin or whatever. That don't mean that. That's, this whole thing is to keep the people into a emotional, docile place. Like, that's it. Like, yeah, none of this has nothing to do with nothing with the people. Nothing. Nothing to keep them 400 years of slavery. That's the whole. That's their foundation. And y'all owe us. And that's their whole thing. Coming on here, got a pile of books in front of them. All you need to know is black as an adjective.
Stacked up, bro. Books stacked up. But yeah, let's see some of these. Let's see some of his reference points right here.
From Enslavement to Presidential Visit by Thomas Dresser. Now, that's actually the black experience. Is that every black person? No. But it's also the black experience. Jill Nelson, Washington Post writer, actually wrote about this called Finding Martha's Vineyard, African Americans at Home on an Island. That's what this book is. This is also the black experience. I got a book right here. My man James Prince from Houston, Rap-A-Lot Records, The Art and Science of Respect. Oh, he talks about being one of the baddest thugs in Houston and talks about all the illegal stuff that he was involved in. Guess what? This is James Prince's experience. He talks about 5th Ward and 3rd Ward in Houston and how he was one of the baddest cats on the streets there. Yes, this is his experience. Is it the black experience? It's not. Here's a book called This African American Life by Hugh Price. Hugh Price, smart brother, eventually became the CEO of the National Urban League, talks about his African.
Oh, interesting. Interestingly enough, this black stuff.
What's the black experience?
National Urban League, huh? Let's see what this black experience. Let's see what this black experience is. Don't forget, you can go to History of African American Exploring Diverse Roots, Thomas J. Davis. Black social scientist George E. Haynes was a prime mover in founding the Committee for the Improvement of the Industrial Conditions Among Negroes in New York. In 1910, Layton and Haynes organizations merged into the National League, or Urban Conditions Among Negroes, later simply the National Urban League. Not national nothing, that's a Negro thing.
Mm-hmm.
What national are you talking about? When you say national, you're implying certain things. No. National Urban League is really the Committee for the Improvement of Industrial Conditions Among Negroes. Right? No wonder you needed a Noble Drew Ali. These people talking about national when they're black. Right, this is 1910. No wonder these people needed a prophet. They had some nerve to talk about some Negro thing as a national thing. There's no Negro nation or black nation or African American nation. But still today, remember this thing been around since 1910 or whatever, still around today, National Urban League, doing Negro stuff. Still. Calling you black. But that's the meaning of Negro. Go ahead, Moore.
Wasn't that one of the programs too, under the King Alfred thing that they were watching?
Yeah, hold on.
Urban League was one of them.
Yep.
Urban League is one of them, and he's talking about, oh yeah, this guy was the CEO of it. Oh, so he was definitely central and federal.
Right. So
this guy that he's talking about.
The organizations are the Black Muslims Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, Congress of Racial Equality, Euro Movement, Group on Advanced Leadership, GOAL, Freedom Now Party, FNP, United Black Nationalists of America, UBNA, the New Pan-African Movement, TNPAM, the National Urban League, NUL, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, Committee on Racial and Religious Progress, CORARP, CORARP. The 12 minority organizations that are familiar to the 22 million who King Alfred Plan said they're agents with central and federal. Oh, but these are your YouTube scholar guys. Such a shame.
American life, growing up in a household, family focused on education, him rising to major positions in corporate America, and then running that National Urban League. Very interesting book here called Negro Land, a memoir by Margot Jefferson. She talks about being black and bougie. She talks about being a black woman of privilege and how she was raised and how folks saw her differently than other black folks. Guess what? That's also the black experience. Let's talk about W.B. Du Bois. Oh, the seminal book on black Reconstruction. If you want to understand the black experience, you might...
W.E. Du Bois, huh? W.E. Du Bois. Talented 10th crew. The black scholar guys who were the scholar guys because, you know, the renegade ones, we don't want you learning from them. We want you learning from the Negroes that we handpicked for you. We let these ones tell the story. All of them have their tacked down tassel in the closet at home.
Yep.
I want to read this particular book here. Oh, yeah, it's about 700 pages, but trust me, y'all can get through it. But he talks about, again, the period of Reconstruction after the Civil War and talks about black folks in the South, also in the North, and what Reconstruction meant for African Americans. If you really want to understand, talk about this whole idea, what's the black experience? There were a lot of black people who were critical of the civil rights movement because they said, oh, that's really the middle class Negroes who are really fighting this movement. So guess what? You had the editors of the book, The Eyes on the Prize Civil Rights Reader. Of course, Henry Hampton had an Academy Award winning,
all these sellouts, civil rights been unconstitutional since the 1800s. Why is that up for discussion in 2019? Why? What is the purpose of speaking about civil rights when that's been unconstitutional since the 1800s? And you didn't have your own court, so don't tell me about that's the white man's court and we don't got to go with that. Forget all that BS. Civil rights is unconstitutional. Period. But they keep stringing our people along. And the people, they're so dumb, they don't even get that they're being played by their own. Always. It's always their own. It's always their own. Islam, more.
Speaking of it always being your own, right? Here go an article from foxbusiness.com, right? It's called Black Lives Matter has been hijacked by George Soros. Right? I'm just going to read a couple lines.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter has called for a boycott against white capitalism, quote unquote, according to its website, asking supporters to stop spending money at, quote, white corporations. Right? But hold on, though. It says, this has George Soros funding written all over it. Speaking of the Black Lives Matter, his movement, the anti-capitalism movement, the anti-socialist movement, has hijacked Black Lives Matter, and they used them as a mask. They figured that coming out of the 60s, when they failed with this movement, they felt that they were too white, and they needed to add color, he said. Billionaire investor George Soros has donated millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter through his Open Society Foundation, according to Washington Times. Clark said that Black people of all social classes and ages will feel the pain of not shopping at white corporations. Because if they stop shopping with these Europeans or working with these Europeans, Soros won't fund the Black Lives Matter movement, which is all funded by George Soros. You can Google him. He's a European. They thought it was when they started this Black Lives Matter stuff, they thought it was their people that was doing it to help them.
Yeah.
No. They were played by their own people who was taking, non-profit checks from George Soros funds.
Yeah.
Getting grants from George Soros, pocketing the notes.
Talking
about they need 30 grand to make a sign that says Black Lives Matter. You need 30 grand for that? Yeah. Oh, okay. George sending it. They pocketing 29 and made their children go buy some crayons at Family Dollar. But that's what's going on. This stuff was made by Europeans that was started in the 60s. They thought it came now. Nah. This European been planning this. They thought it was for them. Their people, their leader guys were helping, acknowledge us being the so-called police brutality and Eric Garner and all of that. Nope. They saying that so they can get funding from George Soros.
Mm-hmm. And then Moore just said in the chat that he also funded the gay movement.
Look at that. Look at this.
And then the real that's the real color people, because they're the only ones with a color flag.
Yep.
The gay flag is the color flag, but the color people, NAACP and them, they don't wave that though. But they're colored though.
Right.
So they look like a clown waving the gay flag, talking about NAACP.
But again, we went over that too in class. NAACP was started by Jews, so-called Jews. Mm-hmm. Even that is a sellout. Our people didn't even start that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, when you came over, I showed you the front cover with the Life magazine with Martin Luther King and the Jew on the front cover.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, these people been selling out. No, like the mother said, knowingly or unknowingly.
Straight.
Academy Award nominated documentary on the civil rights movement, The Eyes on the Prize. Even during that movement, we had the back and forth where y'all don't really care about us folks who are sharecroppers versus y'all city folk. You heard all that sort of stuff going on, even though, guess what? Jim Crow was smacking city folk and sharecroppers. What if I took the senator and the socialite, by Lawrence Otis Graham. Oh yeah, it talks about one of the first black United States senators and how they had generational wealth, how they threw these exquisite parties all in the North in Washington, D.C. Yeah, it was called The Senator and the Socialite. This also is the black experience. Of course, Allison Stewart had her book on First Class, The Legacy of Dunbar, America's first black public high school, talking about the black experience. Here's this great book that I also pulled from In Search of Black America, Discovering African American Dream, where this brother literally went all across the country, going to various black neighborhoods, trying to search for what exactly is black America. Then, of course, you have Isabel Wilkerson.
What do you find?
Right. That might be the only one up there.
What do you find? What do you find? So don't tell me about all these elders' house that you went to and they had the best soul food ever that I had and all that BS. Black experience. There's no such thing. That doesn't exist. That is an illusion to keep the people docile. To keep people docile. That's all they need. You to be docile. They don't need anything else. Once you're docile, everything else is going to fall into play. So it's important for you to study the truth about your nationality and your birthrights. Like we're saying, it's your own. It's your own selling you out. It's your own.
He spoke to a white woman. Yes. One was lynched because he said hello to a white woman.
Yes.
It's the same sort of narrative that plays out time and time again that we've seen, unfortunately. I think that in some ways, black and oppressed and brown people should be doing the same thing. Whenever a person, whenever a white person looks at us awkward, we should call the
white person looking at me.
Right, we should feel as if our life is threatening because every minute.
No, you're gonna get charged because you're using up the people's stuff for BS. Right? They're gonna say it's racism, but no, it's because they have no status. Right? You already know that you're gonna call, and then when they get there, they're gonna beat your black ass. They're not gonna beat the person who you call that's looking at you. They're gonna beat your black ass. Why? Because it's the slave patrol. If you're a slave and you're calling the slave patrol, obviously you're a dumbass. If you're an African slave who came here as a slave ship and stuff like that, okay, then the slave patrol. So why are you calling them for a European doing something? Who you think side they're going to be on when they show up? Your side? Because you called them? This is the advice of your YouTube scholar guys. We should see Europeans and start calling on them. That's no different than the dumbass that was licking the ice cream. Dumbass. Go to a store, open ice cream, lick the ice cream and put it back, and that's a challenge? And then when you get kidnapped and get 10 years or whatever like that, you're mad? That's too hard a punishment for her because she shouldn't get it. No, you have dead status. What do you want?
Yeah.
Hell you want?
Yeah.
Any interjection, Mark?
Yeah, that whole thing, it reminded me of how, when I was reading about us back in history, Europeans weren't even allowed to eat in front of us. We would chop their heads off and we would walk by and they would eat their food in front of us. Like we would just off with their head. Like they weren't even allowed to eat in front of us. Like, but and then as soon as they said, oh, it was a white lady who called on the black, and then I just said, it just clicked right in my head and said, because it's status. Because the Moors back then was white. Their status back then was whatever we were calling them. Like whatever we were calling them, which wasn't part of the human family. So now anything we were doing to them was allowed. That's why when we back to the treaty, right when we made the treaty, we started, or even before that, the Nicene Creed started off with them being known to be looked at as a people. But then, like, the treaty made it seem like they were a nation. You know, like, when you start looking at it, you can see it, like, oh, okay, this is how y'all start being able to be humans. Like, y'all had to have this process happen, y'all. But that's what all of that reminded me, and they just switched it. Now, you think you're barbarian, whatever, looking at, you know, and it's like, wow, you know, like, even if you did, like, the history with the, you know, where the European come from, like you said earlier, why are you even looking at the European? Like, why are you looking at it? I remember I watched that movie with Keanu Reeves, or some movie or something like that, with something with the samurai or something like that. And when his mask came off, the emperor looked at it and was like, "Oh, kill it." like that's what it reminds me of. You know what I mean? But we're dealing with status. You're not. But now it's just switched. It just switched the whole thing. It's bugging me out, but they know this. Like, he got all these books up there, so I know you read. They watch the Grand Chiefs channel. They watch Taj. They watching all of that. They all watch that stuff. They all watch it. They all watch it. That's how
Many times I've been in the district
club and all of that.
Straight.
of Columbia.
I mean, and that's real.
Right, where a white person has been staring at me, whether it's my hair, my sweater vest, my bow tie, or whatever the case is, and I've been almost threatened to call the police. And in some cases, I actually did, particularly when the white nationalists came to D.C. to march. Right. And so I called the police and said, I feel threatened. I'm 5'7" and a quarter. I'm 135 pounds. I feel threatened. And I think we need to incorporate and do the same thing.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Life Lux Jazz is the experience of a lifetime, delivering top-notch music in an upscale destination. The week-long event is held at the Omnia Day Club Los Cabos, which is nestled on the Sea of Cortez in the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico.
The Sea of who? The Sea of who? The Sea of Cortez?
Yeah.
Cortez have a sea around here?
Look at this.
Sell it out your birthright. Selling you out.
This is also a black experience. The Life Lux Jazz Experience offers the ultimate getaway for discerning jazz aficionados by pairing an upscale international destination with luxury accommodations, fine hot cuisine, top shelf libations, meaning liquor, breathtaking golf, exhilarating spa, health and wellness options, and much more, while showcasing some of the biggest names in entertainment. The second annual Life Lux Jazz Experience continues to build upon its success and heritage with Jazzing Around Los Cabos, a celebratory expansion of accomplishing its goal of sharing all the finest the destination has to offer, including daytime excursions and many concerts, including the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch and Jazz Sunset Cruise. Confirmed guests, comedian actor Mark Curry, Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madon, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. Folks, I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from Los Cabos those 2 days. Go to lifeluxjazz.com, lifeluxjazz.com for more information. Would love to see y'all there. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.
All about the TI.
Commercials up, yo.
We had a great book called The Warmth of Other Suns, won all kinds of awards, talking about the great migration of black folks from the South to the North. That's also the black experience. Then, of course, you have this great book called Black Families in White America by Andrew Billingsley, the 20th anniversary edition of a modern classic by a preeminent Afro-American sociologist. What does it mean to be a black family in white America? Then, of course, my man Gerald Horne, University of Houston, one of the top historians out there. He really explains this whole thing in the book called White Supremacy Confronted, U.S. Imperialism and Anti-Communism versus the Liberation of Southern Africa from Rhodes to Mandela. If you want to understand where a lot of this came from, right here, white supremacy. But why all of this important? Why is my last book? Easy. Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, where he
Oh boy. The burning building, Negroes. They love the burning building. It's just so cozy just to be in the burning building like good Negroes, because Master said this is our house. Yeah, but it's burning down. Yeah, it's okay. Master gave it to us, so we're gonna be in here. Man told you that he integrated you into a burning building. You're still letting these Europeans know that that's where your mind's at. Oh yeah, honors to him because he's our man and all that stuff. He told you that he sold you out. You missed that part? Oh, you missed that part. Because you saw Martin Luther Boulevard something. You thought something big was going on. Oh no. They're just honoring their sellouts. That's not your street. What are you talking about? That's not your, and you put that sign there. Now some Europeans did that. I'm pretty sure some Europeans did that. Honor their own. That assisted in keeping you, dumb nigger, assisted and still assisting you today. Keeping you dumbass.
Clearly talks about where we stand as black folks and talks about the various experiences. He talks about the issue of poverty, talks about the Negroes, of course, who didn't necessarily experience the same level of poverty, but they still experienced Jim Crow. What am I getting at? We are idiotic by continuing to allow individuals to play this game of defining the black experience as being one thing.
You're not idiotic calling it a black experience when all you people are brown? So it's idiotic to say that blackness is one thing, but it's not idiotic to call something blackness. This is where yeah, more.
Because that phrase, the black experience, like that's haunting. Like I've never heard that. Like the black experience. Okay, I take that back because that's why it's bothering me. I do remember it's a book called Eugenics, and they label it the black experience. It's and it's crazy because I just remember the author's last name is Black. It's something black, but he's the author of the book. It's called Eugenics, and he talks about it, how all the Hitler's philosophy or whatever was all based off of what you so-called United States was doing here with the black experience in the form of eugenics, with poisoning us, doing stuff to us, doing the whole experience, putting us in those types of neighborhoods that they were just saying. That was an experience. Like, that's an experiment that they were doing on us by putting us in those neighborhoods. That was purposely done. Like in that book, it explains all of that. Like that's not for fake. That's for real. Like they purposely were doing experimenting with that, putting us in those high, tall project buildings and stuff like that. Like me myself, I'm from so-called the projects, whatever, Duggan projects over here. That's what they call it over here. And it used to be, and it's crazy, it used to be a military camp or whatever back in the day. Like with the armory, the Springfield, all that stuff is here. That Springfield Armory and Smith & Wesson and all that stuff is right here. And their military base was called over there in Duggan Projects, where I'm from. And that's why I be trying to tell people those places are really inquisitional military camps. Like, and I was from there. There was really a military camp at one time. And then it just moved in all the so-called Negro colored blacks and put us all there. And Latinos, all Moors, they put us right there. and they still there. They still there. That's a whole inquisitional experiment. Get the book, Eugenics. They break it down all the way to the paper bulls. He's telling it. Them, the verses, all of that. Because it all stems from the Moors. Like getting expelled. It all starts. It's always back to the Moors. This ain't no racist, the white man, and nope.
So okay, so based on with your studying, how are you looking at that whole like when they say, for example, that you know, the white man did whatever, right? And then they get whatever it is that they get. When you say it's tied to the Moors, because they have to know that this is something, this is pre-thoughts that these people are working on. They're not doing it, they're trying some stuff today.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how many like different interactions did our people have with Europeans? And in your study, like were any of them not Islam versus Christian, or you know what I mean, like, you know, some type of hatred for who it is that they see that we are?
Oh no, that's modern. That's now. Remember, when we study our history, it tells you that you would see Catholic Church, mosque, and Jewish whatever all on the same street, right next to each other. It wasn't racism is that's new. And that goes right back to the Spanish Inquisition again. All of that stems from right then and that point, 1492, like right around there. I mean, you still got the battles with Charles Martel and stuff like that. But even I think that guy was a Moor. I don't think that was a modern European. But again, you know, stemming from there, all of this is just starting from that like 1850 and up. Like we're in that so-called racism stuff now. We're in the peak of it. Because that wasn't, and like you said earlier, in the 70s when black people were da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, what I remember the teacher said back in the day, if you call somebody black, you get into a fight. So what you talking about, black this, black? There wasn't no black nothing in the 70s. You would get into a fight. You couldn't call nobody black. So that right there was throwing me off. But the interaction again, like, we were able to be around Europeans, no problem. Like, no problem. But the switch was when Moors was kidnapping Europeans, making it a business. We started that. The Europeans didn't start that. We started that. Why would they start kidnapping us and we're teaching them? Like, we're teaching y'all how to wash, how to have running water, lights, how to eat 3 meals a day, you know, wash your hands, all of that. And now you're getting kidnappers. Like, if you start doing stuff to harm us, like, and then we protect ourselves from that, yeah, I can see that. You know, that's what was going on. We was kidnapping Europeans like it was nothing, by the millions. And these people they don't want to talk about that because then they can't play the victim role. Like the guy who was speaking before, with the sweater tied around his neck.
Yeah.
First thing he was going to do was go back to playing the victim role. I said, so your solution was to do what they did and play victim? Like, y'all always want to play victim. That's the first thing you want to do. Well, I'm going to play victim. Like, that's all y'all do is play victim. 400 years. You know, like, first thing they know is, well, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. First thing, like, why? Why is it always, well, I'm the victim? You're not the victim. You guys were selling Europeans like hotcakes, like just selling it, like it was nothing. But they don't address that issue. These Prince Hall Masons all know that history. They know Moors was the ones that ran the transatlantic slave trade. We did that. All of this complaining and stuff is based off of deals that they did. NAACP not going. Once they got rid of the prophet, once they got rid of Noble Drew Ali, it just seems like it just went bad. It just soon as you see like the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, they got the Jim Crow laws. You know, you start seeing, you know, there's a lot of crazy stuff start happening. You know what I mean? Like they're bombing stuff. You know, like as soon as they got the prophet off the scene, they was able to just go crazy.
Go nuts. Yep.
You know, but it was our own who were knowing what the prophet brought us and doing their own thing off of what they learned from the prophet, but saying it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. Not saying we're Moors no more, but trying to still have that form. You know, there's so many branches that all came from Noble Drew Ali. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they all selling out. All of it. Noble Drew Ali didn't play that 400 years in slavery crap. We wasn't, that wasn't, no. What? Mm-mm. How? That's a fraud. I don't even know. I would love to, I'm going to do some research on that. When the first time that was mentioned, I bet you that was recent. The first time that was written was probably in like 1930 or something like that. Like that's when it all starts going bad. Like recently, we're just in it now. We're just in it now. They keep thinking like that was always like that. No, that's new. We're in the bad stuff. Moors was getting they were getting annual tribute up until the middle of the 18th century. Again, 1850. Like that just hit me. Right back to 1850. That clarifies it. Llewellyn J. Hall says it. Moors were getting annual tribute up to the middle of the 18th century. And then Sean Bay teaches that the Europeans weren't doing nothing until 1850. That backs it. That backs it all day. Like they weren't. That's Moors selling out Moors right now. Crazy. And that's another thing. That's what I really read about in history, about the fights and wars that we were going through. As soon as I want to find out, like, well, what happened? Oh, y'all was fighting each other first.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Always.
Y'all were fighting each other first. I remember it was 4 emperors that were all brothers, and they went to war. I'm like, you guys are all, like, literally brothers, same mom. But because I want to be the guy, and it's like, your mom gave y'all enough of the world, like, yo, you can go over there and have this part of the planet. Yeah. You can go over there and just have this part of the planet. It was like, nah, I want everything. And they just went to war. Yo, it was something, all 3 of them, they went to war. It was the last brother left, and he ended up falling off of his horse, breaking his neck and dying. I'm like, look at that. Nobody lives now.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at this.
That's crazy.
Look at this. Look at this.
That's what that nigger stuff gets you.
Yep.
Last man standing broke his neck, yo.
Yeah, riding his horseback. I'm like, yo, you went to war forever. Days, months. Now you're going back for your victory run and you fall off your horse, break your neck. Like, come on, man.
If that doesn't tell you don't be a sellout, then hey, do your shit, yo.
I'm like, yeah, Europeans is about to walk into people's castles and stuff like that. Like, yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. 4 empires went to war?
Castle
like, yeah,
castle
a bunch of empty houses.
Yeah, everybody gone. All you gotta do is walk in and sit in the chair.
Yep, that's it.
Same way they did with the prophet. Same way they did with the prophet. Get them out the way, grab the chair.
Yep.
Grab the chair.
Wasn't nothing. We would get here. That's why it comes back to John Smith. We got to relook at that whole history. Captain John Smith was a mercenary in the Moorish armies. So now why did he kill so-called Pocahontas, Monteoka?
Yeah.
So he was a mercenary in the Moorish armies. And he killed Monteoka. Who sent him to do that? Somebody sent him to do that. But he was a mercenary in the Moorish army. That's family fighting family, hiring Europeans to do work for him.
Mm-hmm.
That was going on. He started off as a slave, worked his way up from slavery, became a mercenary in the Moorish army. And then they said he named Tangier, Virginia. He was the one that did that. Even if he did, he still had to get permission from the Sultan to do it.
And why would they name it something from North Africa over here?
Right.
Why would they name... They're going to say Virginia. We know Morocco. We know Tangiers. New Orleans, Crescent and Stars everywhere. And over here is not our stuff? Flame.
There is no one black experience in America. Here we are this week celebrating or commemorating 400 years since the first 20-odd Africans arrived in Virginia in August of 1619. And in these 400 years, there have been numerous experiences.
That sounds like color, because didn't you just say something about 1800s or something? The Europeans started something?
1850.
They were still paying annual tribute?
Annual tribute.
So what the hell were they doing in 1616 talking about they brought slaves over here?
To Tangier, Virginia. That's Tangier.
How? How? How did some Europeans in 1600s bring some slaves to Virginia? When in the 1800s, they were still paying annual tribute to the Moors. Gonna hide anything from the nigga? Put it in a book. Go ahead, Moore.
They've been saying 400 years of slavery before I was born. He just said to this year, 2019, would be the anniversary of 400 years. So that's a big. Somebody's been lying. Somebody's been lying. If the 400 years is today, this year, somebody, they've been saying we was enslaved for 400 years since before I was born. You know what I mean? They've been saying I came out the womb first of the year. These slaves 400 years. What? And this guy's gonna say 2019. Today is the anniversary of 400 years. See that? It goes right back to my mom. What my mom say. Once they tell a lie, they gotta tell another one. You just messed up right there. You just messed up, man.
Let's pull them back. Let's pull them back. Let's pull them back.
Experiences. He talks about the issue of poverty, talks about the Negroes, of course, who didn't necessarily experience the same level of poverty, but they still experienced Jim Crow. What am I getting at? We are idiotic by continuing to allow individuals to play this game of defining the black experience as being one thing. There is no one black experience in America. Here we are this week celebrating or commemorating 400 years since the first 20-odd Africans arrived in Virginia in August of 1619.
August of 1619. August of 1619.
It's August right now, 2019. That'll be there 400 years. Slavery just ended.
Just ended. Slavery just ended.
Their leaders.
Lion leaders. Lion leaders. That's crazy, because they've been saying 400 years for a long time, for real.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I had to do this whole breakdown.
Yeah.
I did this breakdown with my father on the phone. I was like, but Abraham Lincoln did what was it? Was it the
Proclamation?
slaves in what year?
The proclamation?
1861 or something like that?
Yeah. 65 or something?
65, right. That was almost 200 years ago. My pops lost it. He was like, what? I was like, yo, that alone, we're not even going to go in after that. We're just going to say, I didn't even bring up the Moors, running the Atlantic slave trade, nothing.
Yeah.
Let's just get rid of the 400 off rip, okay? Lincoln freed the slaves in such and such. Slavery started in so-called Jamestown. You Google it. It says Jamestown, Virginia in 16-something. That's only 200 years right there alone. That's only 200 years alone right there. And like he said, now it's 400 years. Now, August of 2019, it's been 400 years. These leader guys just was lying, came out and was like, we're just going to say 400 years we were in slavery. We're just going to say it. We were packed like sardines by the millions. I think that's why they took, public school system. They figured. I guess they figured that was gonna keep us in that docile. I mean, it's working. We gotta get out of that thinking. You know what I mean? But for us to be able to, I guess they thought if we take over education, we can get them to think the way we want them to think. And we won't think for ourselves like black is an adjective. You know what I mean? Like we won't figure that out. I mean, it seems like some people won't figure that out, or they have figured it out, but then the plan B was make sure you give all these people enough notes to sell them own people out. But that's what it's coming down to. You know what I mean? Everybody's just, you know what? Yeah, I know it means that, but I gotta still, just like the brother. What the brother tell me at the store, he was selling his NBC paper, and he seen me and was like, "Oh, you don't need this paper right here." Like he just already knew, like, nah, there's no, you don't need it. Like, I just looked at him like, yep, just go ahead and continue getting everybody else in here. And he's like, yo, but you could write something in the column, and I'm like, y'all not gonna edit it? You know what I mean? Like, y'all ain't gonna edit it. Nah, we're not gonna edit it. Yeah, I ain't. Y'all gonna edit it. And it's not gonna get there where I'm never gonna see you again, so it doesn't matter. That's the games. These people have to sell out. They get paid off of the complaining and saying we were enslaved for 400 years. They get paid off of, as soon as they see, they need our people to be ignorant enough to put a video up like that saying, so-called white lady gonna call the highwaymen on a so-called black man.
And in these 400 years, they're
need them.
Cause that's how they gotta have them. Because if they don't have that, they don't have their videos.
Yeah.
They're the same people as the blooper guys who make videos about people doing shenanigans in the street, you know, then they'll make something. But they need that to get their views. If everybody's just going around doing what they're supposed to do, that's not so-called entertaining, which means to manipulate the mind and a dogmatic character. But that's what our people, we like to see that. We like the folly. We like the folly.
Let's put this one out there. King Alfred plan. You can fool all of the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. People believe you can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time.
Yeah, so you already know.
People believe that water is fluoridated to prevent cavities by the same government that provides free abortions, free sterilizations, subsidized tobacco, subsidized sugar, lethal flu shots, Agent Orange, syphilis experiments, radiation experiments, and no-win wars, while they restrict our use of cancer-controlling Laetrile, Laetrile, Laetrile. Would these people buy the Brooklyn Bridge for $500? From the time a person leaves its mother's womb, its every effort is directed toward building, maintaining, and withdrawing into artificial wombs, various sorts of substitute protective devices or shells. The objective of these artificial wombs is to provide a stable environment for both stable and unstable activity, to provide a shelter for the evolutionary process of growth and maturity, i.e. survival, to provide security from freedom, and to provide defensive protection for offensive activity. This is equally true of both the general public and the elite. However, there is a definite difference in the way each of these classes go about the solution of problems. Straight playing.
There have been numerous experiences of black folks. The reality is you can grow up in a black family, in a black neighborhood, and go to black schools, and go to black churches, and belong to black organizations, and when you become an adult, don't give a damn about black people. And you can be a biracial person who grew up in a white family, who lived across the country and the world, and you know what? You commit yourself to the issues that impact black people. See, who else is actually having these silly-ass conversations?
Yeah. Who else? Who else, Roland? Who else is having these silly-ass conversations? Because I don't hear Chinese or anybody else with a nationality having these silly-ass conversations. There's nobody other than the unconscious Moors that do this and have these kind of conversations. It's only unconscious Moors that have these kind of conversations. Only them? Nobody else? Just them. Again.
Yep.
Again. I'm going to put this out there quickly. In the 1990s, several conspiracy theorists provided commentary on the newly discovered boule by the masses. With the boule practically being introduced to Black America during the late 80s and early 90s, many wondered what this organization was that rightfully asserted itself as the oldest Black Greek-lettered organization in the country. It would be accurate to describe the attitude toward the organization as skeptical. Through the development of the internet during this period of time, thousands of persons began to understand that Sigma Phi Phi had existed prior almost 100 years. In particular, among the mid-1990s, a web-based magazine devoted several articles to the boule. The inspiration of the articles were lectures presented by Steve Coakley, an influential speaker known for challenging the Black establishment. The articles assert that the 8 subordinates of the boule, that the members had taken oaths to maintain the state of white supremacy, and implied that the founders of the Alpha Phi Alpha were members of the boule before creating the organization, therefore providing a direct link to the two. In essence, the boule began to be portrayed as the direct link to the two. In essence, the boule began to be portrayed as the group that supports a white power structure by controlling 8 Black Greek lettered organizations. But a reading of Du Bois' speech to the boule in 1948 clearly challenges the conspiracy notions. As indicated, Du Bois told the members in that speech that he felt that they were afraid to challenge white America, but that was what the organization needed to do. Conspiracy theories placed Du Bois as a central figure in the boule, when in actuality, like much of the work of Du Bois, he was more of an outsider unable to effect change. Yeah. Sure he was.
That's why they love bringing him up.
Right? He's a nobody, but they keep bringing him up. But he's a nobody, though.
What other groups are having these dumbass discussions as to who really is more authentic, who's really more hood, who's really more Black? That's how stupid this stuff is. I remember when after I had pledged Alpha Phi Alpha, we were at a party and we had a brother who was from Sam Houston State. Walked up to me like, oh yeah, oh y'all think y'all some, this is exactly what he said, because y'all don't, I don't use the word, oh y'all think y'all some smart niggas because y'all go to Texas A&M. But y'all, this is how we do it at this school. I had a brother who was at Prairie View who said the same thing, and they were talking all this trash, and I said, let me ask you a question. What's your chapter graduation rate? Then they got silent. I said, oh, y'all ass can't talk? I said, see, you want to challenge me because I went to Texas A&M and pledged Alpha. And you went to Sam Houston State, not a HBCU. Another brother went to Prairie View, that is a HBCU. So you want to question my Blackness.
Let's just... Exploring issues of diversity within HBCU. Most of the private African American institutions founded by whites were in fact financed, administered, and staffed by whites until the mid-late 50s. They don't got a problem with that though. 50s. Up until the 50s, Europeans were still paying for your education in your quote-unquote historical Black colleges or whatever. Wake up. Wake up. Please wake up.
And question whether I'm real. I said when our chapter and our hitcher only had one brother who did not graduate, and he's not authorized to come to any of our events. I said, so let me ask you a question. What does it mean to be an Alpha? Does it matter if you go to a black school, or does it matter your ass actually graduate and do the things that an alpha man is required to do? He got real silent. I even had a sister when I went to the Fort Worth Star Telegram, and I joked with her about.
Good, Moor.
Miss Mom. Now the teacher, oh man, is it Steve Coakley?
Yeah.
That goes in on all of this bullying?
Yeah.
Alpha Kappa League stuff and all of that. Oh, and he goes in perfect with it, explaining the foundation of it, where it comes from, and all of that. So when he said, do you know what it means to be an alpha? Like, and they both should have got, like, when the Moor asks that question to them, they always get quiet, because they know you know the truth. Like, oh, that's, because it's fraud. It really means you selling out. Like, that stems from Skull and Bones, the so-called Skull and Bones Freemasonry. That all comes from them. Steve Coakley breaks that stuff down perfectly. Gives you the list of all of it, where it came from, who started it, who was in it, how to get the addresses, everything. Had the people on the run that nobody wanted to admit being an alpha. None of that. Steve Coakley had these people shook. Shook. Because he was exposing them. Because they don't do anything they're supposed to be doing for the community. They in it for it to help keep modern European in power.
Oh yeah, we could give him a little 10 minutes of Steve. Let's just see what Steve has to say.
Oh yeah, please.
Let's see what Steve has to say.
If you could design your life exactly the way you want it to be, what would that look like? What kind of...
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. So yesterday, here in Roland Martin Unfiltered, I did a deconstruction of some recent comments by Marcellus Wiley on Fox Sports with regards to Colin Kaepernick and Jay-Z.
They don't want y'all to see Steve.
Any for a Greek assail, his cunning words shall not avail. Our ears are deaf to envy's tale, even deaf to envy's tale. You hear that? They're saying y'all gonna jam us for being a Greek, and we're telling you now we can't hear this shit. And we won't listen to this shit, because we'll defend what we are to the death. As long as you call a decision, I'll bring you the game. I'm going to read that again, because there's symbolism in here that we have yet to fully decodify. It says, each archon who has dared to taste of the cup that threatened death. In the ritual, they must use some cup with some liquid to symbolize something. And say, you tell, that's poison in the cup. Dear Sigma Pi Phi will defend with his life and dying breath. Should any for a Greek assail, they put Greek in quotation marks. Should any for a Greek assail, his cunning words shall not avail. Our ears are deaf to envy's tale, even deaf to envy's tale. Though elsewhere bickerings annoy, here at least are peace and joy. Where friendships built on faith abound, strife and discord near are found. Then drink together, archons dear, the cup of fellowship and cheer. For as the apple of the eye is to us Sigma Pi Phi. For as the apple of the eye is to us Sigma Pi Phi. The apple of the eye. What do that mean?
It means the best thing to him. The apple of my eye. You know, that's the prettiest thing. Like the prettiest girl or something. It's the best thing that could ever happen. The other thing when they say...
The house, the boat, the yacht, the cars.
The death from the cup, that's what that symbol. You had the skull and cross. That's the poison symbol. It's on everything.
Yeah.
The cup is representative of the grave.
Of the grave? Grail. It's interesting that he brought up the word that the cup is symbolic of the grail. Because what we found out is that when you're a skull and bones, when you go over, you're called a knight. And the knight is symbolic of the Knights of the Round Table. And that round table is the code word or the buzzword for an upper secret society that's in a book called Anglo-American Establishment, written by Carroll Quigley. And in that book, he said in the opening that secret society of which the Rhodes Scholars come from is known as several names. This society has been known at various times as Milner's Kindergarten, as the Round Table Group. Okay, just hold it right there. Look at that page a second if you can read it, because that page is very significant to the discussion of who it is might be the ones that the boule has to cover for. In other words, they're covering for something. Now we know whatever they're covering for is beastly. Check. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay. Now that's from Carroll Quigley's book. That was the guy who Clinton thanked during his inauguration. I mean, when he won the Democratic convention, he thanked Carroll Quigley in his speech. He said, Carroll Quigley is the guy that got me over to Yale. Got me to Oxford. And it was Carroll Quigley, who we showed here, has been called the Joe Valachi of political secret societies by his buddies for revealing the fact that there was such a secret society. I thought it was interesting that everybody through reading that? Well, I've said it every lecture I ever had a lecture. Now we only better collaborated the ones who we were always after. So I know we got these suckers. In the book by Manly Palmer Hall on the flower plants, fruits, and trees, there was a tree showing the Knights of the Round Table. What I thought was interesting when I looked at the tree carefully is that in your mind we always thought about the tree in 12. But if you look carefully, it says the tree of the Knights of the Round Table, you find out that there are 1 knight, 2 knights, 3 knights, 4 knights, 5 knights, 6 knights, 7 knights, 8 knights, 9 knights. Those 9 represent the symbolic 9 that's used in the Grecian Sphinx, which we'll be talking about shortly. Now we're going to show from that eulogy of Charles Wesley's. In that same book, that same night, we found this in tribute to Wesley. Look carefully at the wordage. I'll give you a second to read it. Table round. You find that for some reason they take Alfred Lord Tennyson and put him on the left side and put Wesley on the right side, and the only thing is similar in both discussions is the damn word round table. Model for a mighty world. What's that in the man's hand? What's that in the man's hand? Brother Quasey, does that have any symbolism there, that little spike with the light on it?
Oh, yes, sir.
What would that mean?
Prometheus. Prometheus is the one who stole the light. All the Greeks had to pass the burning sands. Burning sands coming across the Sahara to Mount Olympus, where the light was from Ethiopia. That's why we got the Statue of Liberty, because the French gave America the Statue of Liberty because they are the land they stole. They got the new light.
Oh, shit. You see what happened? Where's the light going from which hand to which hand? It's going from the left to the right. So the white man just stole the light and he gonna let the boule hold on it. When it was theirs from the jump. And that's what the stolen legacy does. It empowers one who thieved.
Well, the what legacy? Stolen legacy? George M. James? That the ancient Egyptians made the Moors the custodians of the ancient Kemetic culture and all of that stuff? Oh, and the Moors had the light, and then the fez represents light. That's why Moors were their fez, so that people could see us way down there, you know? Because we're the gatekeepers. And the time is up. We're back. We're not in darkness anymore. We're not black. We know ourselves. We're not Bobby Emmett's evil twin.
Right. Right. They know this. This is what they get. the Alpha Phi, whatever.
Alpha Phi.
These people, they got the science. They've drinking from the ground.
Yep. They had their swigs. Which
is all more science.
Islam to all the Moors.
Islam.
We might have something tomorrow. We got to use up our 30 days and 1 week left. So we'll see what's good tomorrow. But remember, study. Show yourself approved. There's a lot of other stuff, but we'll save some stuff for tomorrow. We could kill something tomorrow too. Islam to all the Moors everywhere. Islam to all the Moors everywhere, wherever you're at. Peace and love, and keep the fire burning. But Yusuf,
Islam.
you got any closeout ones?
Yeah, Islam to all the Moors in the chat. Give thanks, man, sheep, for your platform. Give honors to the Prophet.
Islam. Honors to the Prophet, honors to Allah.
Honors to Allah.
Give thanks again, Moors. Peace and love. Don't forget, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tonight. MHHS Eyes Wide Open. blogtalkradio.com. 9:30 p.m. Peace and love to all Moors. Yeah, we can do a Islam Moors.
So I was going to get you in. What? I'm rockets. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason, without the killing. But we promote life, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking. See the turning heads, whispering, gawking. But he's locked in, and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can all calcify ours. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport. As we know by being told, man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought. Placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past writers' blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding to these hearing aids. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to seeds, speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. Can always look to these holes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no jokey. Deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Dish deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. Dish deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place as spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces. Peel back, rats, who got cases. Fire stain the corridors with flammable faces. Game changers, rule benders and no pretenders. Style lenders, channel my vibe through the fabric optic lenses. Send a message to our veterans. Soldiers up and get it in. We on the verge we are merged subliminal beings. Third eye seeing, still a participant unwilling.
They wanna break me, shape, bait, grade me. Rolling with my main G, double OMB. SON is crazy for a minute that you think you could take me for a fool, like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. Keep mistaking me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools. I've been saying you've mistaken me. You better move or I'll mark it. How weapon is my tongue, your existence to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Out some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters fragile as porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is the DJ skilling some dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We one need to elope. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis fitted the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops will kill your boy, yeah, the joke. The cost of living, higher profit to private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just to build condition. It's like the slavery never end, the prison in the mission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and make one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones